Listen up. While everyone else is freaking out over those $300 emergency food buckets online, I stumbled onto something incredible at my local Aldi that could completely change the way your family prepares for tough times. Last week, I walked in with just $50 and one goal: prove you don't have to waste thousands on overpriced survival food to stay fed during the next crisis. What I found on those shelves for loose change blew me away, especially item number 8, which costs less than $1, yet delivers more nutrition than many premium emergency kits. Here's the truth: those big survival companies don't want you to realize. They're marking up ordinary staples by 400% just because they slap the word emergency on the package. Meanwhile, Aldi has the exact same nutrients sitting there for pennies on the dollar. But it gets even better. I spent the past month combing through supply chain reports, and here's what I discovered. Food prices rose 21% last year, and experts warn that the next wave will be even worse. Major distributors are already cautioning retailers about shortages expected throughout 2025. And 3 of the largest farming regions on the planet are reporting their weakest harvests in decades. Now let me make this personal. 6 months ago, I told my neighbor Sarah to start prepping. She laughed. But during last month's ice storm, when her power was out for 4 straight days and all she had left was frozen pizza, guess who showed up at my door asking for help? Don't be Sarah. Today, I'm going to show you 12 specific Aldi items you need to grab immediately, how their prices compare with other stores, and most importantly, why these products will last longer than everything else when shelves start going empty. Stick with me until the end, because I'll also share a storage trick that most preppers completely overlook, a method that could save you hundreds of dollars and extend shelf life by years. Item 1. Live Free Long Grain White Rice, the $8 survival cornerstone. Just last Tuesday, I picked up a 20-pound bag of Live Free rice for $8.49. At Walmart, the same size runs $12.98. At Kroger, it's a shocking $15.49. Here's the part that floored me when I ran the numbers. One bag provides about 200 servings. That's 4 cents per serving for food that can literally outlast you if stored properly. My grandmother proved this to me last month. She opened a jar of rice she had sealed back in 1987, 37 years ago. And it was still perfect. The reason? White rice doesn't contain the oils that cause brown rice to spoil. But improper storage can ruin everything. My friend Jake kept his supply in thin store bags, and tiny weevils wiped out months of preparation. Don't make that mistake. Move your rice immediately into airtight containers and toss in a single bay leaf. It naturally deters bugs and costs practically nothing. Here's a tip I picked up from a food scientist at Michigan State. Store rice at 70 degrees Fahrenheit or below with less than 10% humidity, and it will stay fresh indefinitely. Your basement is perfect. Your garage? A disaster waiting to happen. Item 2. Dakota's Pride Pinto Beans. Protein that lasts for generations. Pair rice with beans, and you've got the ultimate survival duo. Aldi sells Dakota's Pride Pintos for $1.19 per pound. At Target, the same beans are $1.89, and at Whole Foods, $2.15. But here's the part that will blow your mind. Scientists tested beans that had been stored for 30 years. Yes, 3 full decades, and found them still safe and nutritious. That's food your grandchildren could one day eat. 1 pound of dried beans makes about 6 cups cooked, enough to feed a dozen people as a side dish. And when combined with rice, beans create complete proteins, delivering all 9 essential amino acids your body can't produce on its own. For storage, don't just dump beans in random containers. I keep mine in wide-mouth glass jars with Gamma Seal lids. Into each jar, I drop 1 bay leaf and a food-grade silica packet. This simple system keeps moisture out and prevents spoilage, protecting beans for decades. Item 3. Regano Pasta, your 89-cent crisis insurance. Hold on to your cart, because what I uncovered about pasta prices this week will absolutely floor you. While everyone is stocking up on rice and beans, there's a pasta shortage quietly building that almost no one is paying attention to. Here's the shocker. Global pasta prices have spiked 17.5% in some regions, with Italy even holding emergency government meetings because prices are climbing at double the inflation rate. But here's where Aldi comes in. Regano spaghetti is still just 89 cents per pound. Compare that to Barilla at $2.29, or premium brands pushing nearly $4 per pound. And here's the kicker. Durum wheat, the essential grain for high-quality pasta, has seen yields fall 20% year over year in Canada due to relentless droughts. This is the smallest harvest in 12 years, and Canada is the primary supplier for most of the world's durum wheat. It gets worse. A pasta distributor I spoke with recently revealed that big manufacturers are quietly replacing durum wheat with cheaper soft wheat just to keep shelves stocked. Translation: not only will your pasta taste different, but it may also be harder to find at all. I had my own wake-up call 3 months ago at my local grocery store, where I've shopped for years. The pasta aisle was half empty. The manager, Mike, who I've known forever, pulled me aside and whispered, "Stock up now. Our suppliers are warning us about major shortages." Here's a pro tip that could save you money and stress later. Don't only buy spaghetti. Grab rotini, penne, elbow macaroni, and even lasagna sheets. Each shape requires different production equipment, and when shortages hit, the variety disappears first. During the 2020 crisis, spaghetti was the only shape left while everything else was wiped out. Storage tip: get your pasta out of those flimsy cardboard boxes right away. They attract pantry moths, and nothing is worse than discovering your emergency food destroyed by bugs when you need it most. Use airtight containers for long-term storage, and your pasta will last for years. Item 4. Happy Harvest Diced Tomatoes. Your 69 cents lifeline in a crisis. Just last month, I checked 3 different grocery stores for canned tomatoes. Every single one had raised prices by at least 30%. Hunt's was $1.89 per cane. Del Monte wanted $2.15, and organic brands were hitting $3.50. Meanwhile, Aldi's Happy Harvest? Still only 69 cents. Here's the frightening part. Experts are warning about what they're calling the perfect tomato storm. California, which produces 95% of America's processed tomatoes, just reported its lowest yields since the 1970s. They're predicting a 40% production drop through 2025. And here's what insiders aren't telling the public. I got hold of internal reports from major food processors, and they're already bracing for shortages. 3 of the largest tomato processing plants have quietly begun rationing supplies to manufacturers. Translation: pasta sauces, salsa, and ketchup are about to skyrocket in price, or vanish entirely. My neighbor Jennifer found out the hard way during the 2022 shortages. She laughed when I suggested stocking canned tomatoes, dismissing them as just soup ingredients. 3 months later, she was driving 45 minutes to track down any brand at all, and paying triple what I paid for the exact same cans. Here's the mistake most preppers make. They only buy tomato sauce. Huge error. Diced tomatoes are far more versatile. You can turn them into sauce, toss them into soups, combine with rice and beans, or even eat them straight from the can if needed. I tested this myself during a practice emergency week, and diced tomatoes turned bland rice into actual meals my kids would eat. Here's the hack that changed my shopping game. Stock up on diced, crushed, and sauce varieties now, while prices are still manageable. Each form has its own uses, and having variety means you won't get stuck eating the same thing over and over during stressful times. Plus, recent nutrition research shows canned tomatoes actually contain higher levels of lycopene than fresh ones, making them even better for long-term health during a crisis. Item 5. Chef's Cupboard Chicken Broth, the $1.29 secret weapon. This one completely changed how I think about prepping. Chicken broth could be the difference between barely surviving and actually thriving in the middle of an emergency. At Aldi, Chef's Cupboard costs just $1.29 for a 32-ounce box. Compare that to Swanson at $2.89, or the organic brands at Whole Foods running $4.99. But here's the shocking discovery that flipped my entire storage plan. During blackouts or disasters, your body doesn't just need water, it needs electrolytes. When the Texas grid failed last year, hospitals saw dehydration cases surge by 400%. And most of the people affected weren't frail or elderly. They were healthy adults who thought drinking plain water was enough. Here's the insider tip that could literally save your life. I interviewed Dr. Sarah Martinez, an emergency medicine physician, who told me, in disaster situations, people often collapse not from lack of water, but from electrolyte imbalances. Chicken broth provides sodium and minerals that keep your nervous system working even under extreme stress. My personal wake-up call happened last winter during an ice storm. By the second day, my family was irritable, drained, and weak despite drinking plenty of water. That's when I remembered the chicken broth boxes in our pantry. Within an hour of sipping it warm, everyone felt revived. My 8-year-old even said, "Daddy, I feel like myself again." Here's the prep hack that stretches your investment. 1 container of broth can make 3 separate meals. Use a third to cook rice and turn it into something flavorful instead of bland survival food. Sip another third when you need instant energy and warmth. Save the last portion to use with pasta the next day. During our practice emergency week, this single trick boosted morale while our neighbors complained about flavorless, boring meals. Storage reality check. Always buy the shelf-stable boxes, not the refrigerated ones. They last longer, don't eat up fridge space when the power goes out, and stack perfectly in storage. I keep at least 15 boxes, and they're the first thing I reach for when things go south. Item 6. Simply Nature Organic Peanut Butter. $3.49 of pure energy. What I'm about to share about peanut butter could be a game changer for your family. Aldi sells Simply Nature Organic Peanut Butter for $3.49 per 18-ounce jar, while Whole Foods charges $5.99, and Target lists theirs at $4.79. But here's the looming crisis. Argentina, the world's main peanut supplier, just reported its worst harvest in decades. Production has dropped by 35% compared to last season. This shortage is already driving up costs. Supply chain experts say peanut ingredient prices have climbed 30 to 50% for grocery chains. And my contact at a regional store confirmed they're preparing for steep price hikes next month. Now here's why peanut butter is a survival powerhouse. Just 2 tablespoons pack 190 calories and 8 grams of complete protein. During last winter's ice storm, my neighbor Dave showed up after 3 days with hungry kids and bare cupboards. My family, meanwhile, was fine. We'd been living mostly on peanut butter sandwiches. His kids were crying, while mine were fed and satisfied. All because I stocked up months in advance. Peanut butter is brilliant for emergencies because it doesn't need refrigeration. It delivers instant energy, requires no cooking, and, most importantly, kids actually like it. Try getting an 8-year-old to eat canned green beans during a blackout. Here's a storage hack that doubled my peanut butter shelf life. Natural varieties without added oils last longer than heavily processed brands. Store jars upside down to prevent oil separation. And unopened, they'll stay good for up to 2 years. I just opened an 18-month-old jar last week, and it tasted exactly as fresh as the day I bought it. But here's the important takeaway. Food inflation is expected to rise nearly 5% in 2025, so stocking up now could save you serious money. Item 7. Live Jafree Quick Oats. 13 breakfasts for $1.69. Here's a number that will blow your mind. Live Jafree Quick Oats cost just $1.69 for an 18-ounce container, which breaks down to around 13 cents per hearty, nutritious breakfast. But the real story is what's happening to the global oat market right now. Canada, our biggest oat supplier, is running dangerously low on stock, and U.S. reserves are also near record lows, heading into 2025. Western Canada has been suffering relentless droughts, and farmers have no buffer harvests left from past years. Experts are calling this a perfect storm for oat shortages. What shocked me most during my research is how oat milk demand has surged 28% in just 2 years. This explosive growth has placed enormous strain on already limited oat supplies. Randy Strahr, president of Oat Information, told industry sources that we're at a tipping point where global oat demand now exceeds production. Here's the survival angle that most people miss. During the Mormon Church's legendary 30-year food storage trials, oats held their nutritional value for 3 full decades. They deliver complex carbs, fiber, and even a solid amount of protein. A single 18-ounce container provides about 13 filling servings. What makes oats such an emergency essential is their speed and efficiency. They're ready in just 2 minutes with hot water. No stove needed if you've got a thermos or camp kettle. During the Texas freeze, when people were rationing propane, oatmeal became a lifeline compared to slow-cooking rice. My neighbor Lisa learned this lesson the hard way. She wasted fuel trying to cook rice on a camp stove, while I was serving hot oatmeal in minutes using only boiling water from my emergency kettle. Pro storage tip: transfer oats immediately into airtight containers with oxygen absorbers. Those cardboard tubes they come in soak up moisture and will ruin your investment if you leave them as is. Item 8. Dakota's Pride Black Beans, the antioxidant powerhouse. At under $2, Aldi sells these for just $1.19 per pound, the same price as pinto beans. But here's why they earn a separate place on this list. Black beans have the highest antioxidant content of any bean variety, which is critical for fighting inflammation and stress during long emergencies. There's also a supply story most people haven't heard. Recent agricultural reports confirm that climate disruptions and extreme weather are hammering bean-growing regions. A contact of mine at a major agricultural supplier said they're seeing unprecedented demand for dried beans as more families quietly build up emergency reserves. Here's what makes black beans particularly impressive. They cook about 25% faster than pintos. In a pressure cooker, black beans are ready in 15 minutes compared to 20 for pintos. Saving 5 minutes per batch might not sound like much, but when you're rationing fuel during a blackout, it adds up quickly. I learned an incredible prep hack from Rosa, a Cuban chef who lived through the economic crisis of the 1990s. She taught me to soak beans overnight in the same water you'll cook them in. This not only cuts cooking time in half, but also preserves the nutrients that would otherwise get dumped out with the soaking water. During our family's practice emergency week last month, we leaned heavily on rice and bean dishes. At first, my kids resisted, until I started mixing in black beans. Their natural sweetness and darker color made the meals more appealing and satisfying. Here's a detail that surprised me. 1 pound of dried black beans provides roughly 12 servings of protein-rich food. At $1.19 per pound, that's about 10 cents per serving of quality protein. Cheaper than anything else on the market except eggs. And unlike eggs, beans stay edible for decades. Storage tip: split large quantities into meal-sized portions before sealing in glass jars with tight-fitting lids. Add a bay leaf to each jar for natural pest control and long-term protection. Nothing is worse than opening a giant container when you only need enough for one meal. Item 9. Happy Harvest Sweet Corn, the 69-cent vitamin boost. At Aldi, a 15.25-ounce can costs just 69 cents. But this simple vegetable deserves a serious spot in your emergency reserves. Supply chain reports are already warning that canned goods may face shortages due to aluminum constraints and weather-related farming challenges. Here's something most people don't realize. Corn is actually more nutritious canned than fresh. The high-heat canning process breaks down plant cell walls, making nutrients like antioxidants more available for your body to absorb. That means higher levels of vitamin A, folate, and other protective compounds. But the real power of corn isn't just nutrition, it's psychological. During our family's emergency food trial, my kids showed me how important food acceptance is when stress is high. Plain rice and beans? They pushed it around their plates. Rice and beans with corn mixed in? They cleared every bite. Dr. Sarah Chen, a food psychologist I interviewed, explained that familiar flavors and natural sweetness become even more important during a crisis. Corn provides both, turning bland survival meals into something your family will actually enjoy. Here's a storage trick I picked up from a preservation expert. Because of its natural acidity, corn is one of the most stable canned vegetables. Properly stored, it holds quality for 3 to 5 years, though I rotate mine every 2 years for the best taste and texture. Mark the tops of cans with purchase dates and keep them in a cool, dry place at 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Avoid wide temperature swings, since that's what degrades canned vegetables over time. Market data already shows corn prices climbing as extreme weather and pests batter Midwestern crops. Stocking up now protects you against future price hikes while guaranteeing your family has access to nutrient-rich vegetables when it matters most. Item 10. Carlini Vegetable Oil, your $2.49 multi-tool. At Aldi, a 48-ounce bottle of Carlini vegetable oil costs just $2.49, compared to $3.89 for Crisco and $4.29 for Wesson. But here's the critical issue almost nobody is talking about. Global vegetable oil supplies are under extreme pressure. Canada just reported its lowest canola harvest in 14 years, and ongoing conflicts have severely disrupted sunflower oil production overseas. Experts are warning that vegetable oil prices could soar through 2025. But oil isn't just for frying food. It's one of the most versatile survival items you can store. During last winter's ice storm, my neighbor Mike couldn't sleep because squeaky hinges kept his family awake. A few drops of vegetable oil fixed the problem instantly. Beyond cooking, it works as lamp fuel in emergencies, prevents rust on tools, and even doubles as skin moisturizer when other supplies run out. Here's another overlooked fact. Oil provides essential fatty acids that your body cannot function without, especially when your diet is reduced to rice, beans, and other staples. Without fats, your body struggles to absorb vitamins and maintain basic cellular health. My friend Tom, who lived through Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, told me oil was one of the most valuable trade items. People were bartering food and supplies just to get a few ounces to cook with and make their meals palatable. Here's the critical storage tip. Heat and light are oil's greatest enemies. I keep mine in the coolest, darkest part of my basement, where temperatures stay steady year-round. Properly stored, vegetable oil maintains quality for 18 to 24 months. But if exposed to fluctuating temperatures or sunlight, it can go rancid much faster. Pro hack for extending shelf life. Buy oil in smaller bottles instead of one oversized jug. This way, you're not exposing your entire supply to air and light each time you use a little. Item 11. Baker's Corner All-Purpose Flour, your $2.19 bread security. At Aldi, a 5-pound bag of Baker's Corner flour costs just $2.19, while Gold Medal runs $3.49, and King Arthur is nearly $5. But here's the growing crisis that few are paying attention to. Global grain supplies are under severe strain thanks to ongoing conflicts in key wheat-producing regions. Russia and Ukraine together produce about 20% of the world's cereal grains, and the war has heavily disrupted global flour availability. Combine that with climate pressures cutting wheat yields, and we could be facing flour shortages that stretch deep into 2025. Here's what opened my eyes. During the pandemic bread shortages, families who had flour were still baking fresh loaves, pancakes, pizza crusts, and pasta, while others fought over overpriced frozen bread at the store. Flour gives you the power to make countless essentials from scratch when supply chains falter. But there's a storage secret that can make or break your supply. My friend Jake lost his entire stash to tiny weevils because he skipped one crucial step. Always freeze flour for 48 hours immediately after purchase to kill any hidden weevil eggs. Then transfer it into airtight containers with bay leaves for ongoing natural protection. Maria, a third-generation baker, taught me something invaluable. She keeps her flour in food-grade buckets with gamma seal lids and rotates her stock every 6 to 8 months. Flour isn't like rice, she told me. It doesn't last forever. But during those months, you can make endless meals from scratch. During our family's emergency challenge week, flour became our ace in the hole. While our neighbors were stuck with canned goods, we were making fresh pancakes for breakfast, bread for lunch, and even handmade noodles for dinner. Here's the financial reality. Flour prices have already risen nearly 25% due to supply disruptions. Stocking up now shields you from future increases while ensuring your family can enjoy fresh baked goods even during shortages. Item 12. Northern Catch Chunk Light Tuna, your 95-cent protein insurance. At Aldi, a 5-ounce can is just 95 cents, compared to Starkist at $1.79 and Bumblebee at $1.89. But behind the scenes, the tuna industry is being squeezed by overfishing, new regulations, and supply chain turmoil. Experts report irregular catch rates and soaring fuel costs are driving price volatility, while the recent TikTok tinned fish trend has spiked demand so much that even influencers are struggling to find stock. Forget boutique $10 tins. This is about practical, affordable protein that could keep your family alive when everything else runs out. Each can delivers a full set of essential amino acids, omega-3 fats, and B vitamins. It needs no cooking, no refrigeration, stores for years, and, maybe most importantly, kids will eat it without complaint. Here's a tip I picked up from a Navy veteran. Buy both water-packed and oil-packed varieties. Water-packed is leaner and good for everyday use, while oil-packed adds critical calories and fats during stressful emergencies when your body needs extra fuel. But here's the alarming truth. Some tuna populations have collapsed by over 97% due to overfishing, and efforts to farm tuna have mostly failed. That means wild-caught tuna grows more scarce and expensive every year. My research uncovered something troubling. Supply experts are already warning that international fishing restrictions and border complications could trigger tuna shortages in the near future. The same aluminum shortage affecting other canned foods is also hitting tuna production. My neighbor Sarah learned this lesson the hard way during the last regional emergency. While protein vanished from shelves and people fought over overpriced meat, her family ate comfortably thanks to their tuna stockpile. Storage tip for maximum shelf life. Keep cans in a cool, dry place away from temperature swings. Properly stored, canned tuna stays good for 3 to 5 years, making it one of the most dependable protein options for long-term preparedness. Here's your action plan. Don't panic buy everything in one trip. That's how you blow your budget and overwhelm yourself. Instead, grab 3 to 4 items each time you visit Aldi over the next month. Start with rice and beans, the foundation. On your second trip, add pasta and canned tomatoes. Gradually build out the rest until you've secured 2 to 3 months of food. For storage, aim for cool, dry conditions around 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Basements are ideal, but avoid spots with big temperature fluctuations. Invest in proper airtight containers, gamma seal buckets for bulk items, and glass jars for smaller portions. Here's the reality most people don't want to face. Global events have made food supplies uncertain, and experts are already warning of major disruptions throughout 2025. But unlike 2020, when panic buying emptied shelves overnight, you have the chance to prepare ahead of the crowd. This isn't about building bunkers or buying into fear. It's about being smart with your money and making sure your family has what it needs. 2 to 3 months of food storage isn't extreme. It's common sense. And the total cost for everything on this Aldi list? Under $35. That's less than most families spend on a single night out. Yet it could keep you fed for weeks when the next emergency hits. If this video saved you from wasting money on overpriced survival kits, Hit that like button and subscribe for more budget-friendly prepping tips. Drop a comment and tell me which of these items you'll be picking up first. Personally, I started with rice and beans. They're the ultimate survival combo. Next week, I'll reveal the 10 biggest mistakes people make when building their emergency food supply, plus a storage hack that can extend shelf life by 300%. You won't want to miss it. Stay sharp, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next one.